In the headlines, more legal troubles for suspended CBN governor as the government prepares fresh allegations. A sigh of relief for Adama community where food commodities cost half the market price. ISWAP fighters leave Sahel region for Lake Chad. And on the foreign scene, more than a dozen Nigerian troops killed in an attack near its Mali border. Hello there, good afternoon and welcome to the news update on Trust TV. I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. Beginning the update in Abuja, the suspended Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele will be arraigned on Thursday, according to the federal government, before a Federal Capital Territory High Court in Abuja for an alleged 6.9 billion naira procurement fraud. Emefiele will be arraigned alongside a female CBN employee, Saadatu Yaro, and her company, April 1616 Investment Limited, on 20 charges of procurement fraud, conspiracy, and conferring corrupt advantages on the former suspended CBN governor's associates. Emefiele was suspended from office on June 9th and has been in detention since then. He was accused of conferring corrupt advantages on Yaro, a director, and her company, April 1616 Investment Limited. The offense is contrary to Section 19 of the Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Act of 2000. In the charges signed by the Director of Public Prosecutions, Federal Ministry of Justice, Mohammed Abubakar, Emefiele and two others were alleged to have bought a fleet of over 98 exotic vehicles and armored buses valued at 6.9 billion naira. The federal government further accused the suspended CBN governor of conspiracy to confer corrupt advantage on the second defendant, contrary to sections 26C and 19 of the Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Act of 2000 and punishable under Section 19 of the same Act. The suspended central bank governor was also accused of awarding a contract for the supply of another Toyota Land Cruiser V8 for 77.05 million naira to the third defendant in 2018. Now, the federal government had on Tuesday sought to drop illegal possession of firearms charges it preferred against the suspended CBN governor before Justice Nicholas Owebo of the Federal High Court in Lagos. Now, as part of efforts to address the rising cost of living in Nigeria, residents of Jobore, a community in Giri local government area of Adamawa State, can now buy cereal at half the market price. The Philanthropic Act is aimed at cushioning the effects of subsidy removal, which has given birth to a continuous rise in inflation in Nigeria. Salis Lawan reports.
Winners to feed their families started getting woes in May this year, shortly after President Tinubu, in his inaugural address, declared that fuel subsidy was gone. A businessman, Shaibu Idris, who says he is feeling the hardship of the less privileged, decided to sell his foodstuff at a subsidized rate, believing it will go a long way toward reducing the difficulties faced by households.
Rogo muna sayan sa 700 muna sayarwa 350. Taliya muna siya 450 muna sayarwa 250.
We are rolling out these palliative measures to seek Allah's favor only. We are buying this cassava at the rate of 700 and sell at 350 naira. Pasta at the rate of 450 and sell it for 250 naira. We are also buying rice at the market price of 1,500 and give it out at 900 per measures.
Shinkafa muna siya 500 muna sayarwa 900.
Beneficiaries say the initiative has since its first day started putting smiles on their faces. They call on governments and other well-to-do individuals to emulate the gesture.
Yanzu rayuwar da ake ciki wani gashi an saukar da farashin ma yanzu haka babu kuɗin da zai siya.
There are many that can't afford the foodstuff at this cheap price. They are empty-handed. Our well-to-do and government personalities should help the poor, the way this man is supporting us.
Kudu uku kam babu shi. Na auna masara, na kai injin
jiya wanda aka auna da yamma mun kai injin mudu 10 yanzu da safe nan naje na samu an sata masaran.
Yesterday, I bought maize and took it from Merlin. It was stolen this morning. Government should not let the masses down.
Ya kamata gwamnati ta dubi talakawa da idon rahama don abun da ake cikin nan.
However, an eyewitness, Haruna Audu, alleged that while selling of the subsidized foodstuff was ongoing, some individuals were buying the cheap foodstuff to sell them at a higher price, not far from the venue.
If you take this food to your house and feed your kids or your neighbor, eat it, or to your neighbor, God will reward you when you are helping people, but some are diverting what you are giving. You will feel discouraged.
With this development, the neighborhood is not just joyous, but hopeful that the action will inspire more businesses to follow suit. Salis Lawan, Trust TV News, Yola.
Talking security now, ISWAP fighters are reportedly moving out of their bases in the Sahel and Niger Republic to the fringes of Lake Chad and northwest Nigeria, according to top security source who spoke to Daily Trust on Tuesday. Now, the terror group, moving with sophisticated weapons, are said to be fleeing the possible ECOWAS military intervention across the border with Niger, according to military sources. Now, sources say the fighters are resettling in Kukawa, Abadam, Gaidam and Guzamala areas of Lake Chad region. Also in northwestern states like Katsina, Kaduna, Zamfara and Sokoto state, they have experiencing the exodus of ISWAP fighters from Niger Republic. Two military sources said the situation is being exacerbated after the coup in Niger Republic and the pullout of the country from the ongoing multinational joint task force. Now, joining us via phone from Borno is Hamisu Kabir of Trust TV to shed more light on this development. Hamisu, thank you very much for joining us. What more can you tell us about this particular development, and how much more burden is this likely going to put on Nigeria's existing war against terror?
Good afternoon. Actually, Nigeria has to do a lot in terms of military intervention and negotiations to change the of people in the other countries that take part in taxation in the Sahelian region. Actually, yesterday, some military men, top military men, contacted us and.
Hello, Hamisu. Can you come again, because can you come again, because we lost connection for a few seconds there. So can you just repeat your line of thought?
Okay. Yesterday we got privileged information from top military men that confided in us about how the ISWAP members, the fighters of the ISWAP, are trooping into Nigeria, especially in places around the Lake Chad Basin and some part of western part of the country. Places like Katsina, Kano, Sokoto, Zamfara, and or some other part of the Lake Chad Basin.
Yeah, so Hamisu, do we understand whether the top security brass is doing anything about mitigating this influx into this part of the Lake Chad Basin, especially because of the already existing security situation across the country?
Yes, based on what they told me, they are assessing the situation and they keep track of the movement of the ISWAP members. And what most of them are advising first was for the government itself to see how it can improve on the diplomacy. Does Nigeria need to do a lot of diplomatic shuttle and negotiation with to change the perception of countries, especially Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali, on the current security situation, because they play a vital role in the multinational joint task force operation within the Sahelian region, which they feel Nigeria need to do much in terms of financial commitment and maybe to add to the number of troops that are based in areas around that axis.
Right, and I suppose resolving the Nigerian impasse is key to getting back to the multinational joint task force, as well as a collective effort towards addressing the terrorism question on this side of the continent. Hamisu Kabiru, thank you so much for the update, and we appreciate you for the reporting.
Thank you.
Right. Okay, moving on to some of the day's other news now. In Zamfara, the state governor, Lawal Dauda, has introduced performance index for the new 18 commissioners appointed in the state. The governor made this known during a ceremony for the inauguration of the commissioners in the state capital, Gusau. He charged the appointees to redouble their efforts because they will all be assessed based on key performance index. Now, the governor therefore urged them to cultivate good working relationship and synergy with their ministries for the betterment of the people of Zamfara state. The news agency of Nigeria reports that the oath of office was administered on the newly appointed commissioners in the state by the State Chief Judge, Justice Kulu Aliyu. Now, the federal government says no federal university is allowed to charge tuition fees across the country. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education, David Adejo, said this at a public hearing by the House of Representatives ad hoc committee hearing on student loans in Abuja. Adejo says the recent increase in charges by federal universities in the country was unfortunate. According to him, what universities collect are charges related to the cost of accommodation, ICT, and power, among others, insisting that it is the governing councils of the universities that have the powers to approve such charges. Adejo added that the charges collected by the institutions were used to pay for some of their services, including electricity bills, among other operational costs for the universities. In Lagos, the state government has issued a fresh flood alert to residents of some parts of the state. In a statement signed on Tuesday by the Permanent Secretary, Office of Drainage Services and Water Resources, Lekon Oshodende, the state government is urging residents to be wary of heavy rainfalls in the coming days. The state government is urging residents of Apapa, Badagry, Etiosa, Ikeja, Ikorodu, Ikoyi, Lagos Island, Ojo to prepare for heavy rainfalls which may induce flash flooding during the week and beyond. The state is relying on flood alert advisory issued by the Flood Emergency Warning System, the central hub of the Federal Ministry of Environment, and Shodende urged all residents of the listed areas to be vigilant and watchful about rainfalls during and after these periods. The state also urges residents of floodplains and low-lying areas to be ready to move upland till the cessation of the rainfalls. The statement reiterated that people and motorists must also refrain from wading through flood areas, especially during rainfalls, as there is a propensity to be washed away by the intensity of the flood waters. You're watching the news update on Trust TV. Coming up ahead, we take a look at the war on counterfeit products in Nigeria. Details coming up shortly after the break.
Let's take you on a ride through a series of colors, events, concerts, and lots more. Are you planning an event? EventScope has you covered. Make Trust TV your #1 choice to cover your event. Call 080-3591-0553. EventScope, making your event classic. Follow us on all of our social media platforms at Trust TV News for latest updates on Event Scope.
Welcome back to the news update on Trust TV. Here's a reminder of our top stories at this hour. More legal troubles for the suspended CBN governor as the government prepares fresh allegations. A sigh of relief for Adamawa community where food commodities now cost half the price. Now, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, says illicit drug trade remains a huge challenge in Kano, as over 2,000 kilograms of narcotics, cannabis and psychotropic substances were seized in the state between January and June this year. In an exclusive interview with Trust TV, the commander of narcotics at the NDLEA Kano Command, Abubakar Ahmad, says there is an alarming level of exposure to women to the dangers of drug abuse across the state.
We went out and behold, when my officers were coming back, it is so disheartening. They came back with 57 young people that they arrested in that spot, abusing different types of drugs. Out of the 57, 6 were male and 51 were all young girls that were arrested. So that's why I'm telling you that from the face value of it, definitely you know that it is so disturbing. You know why women, for example, most of them are involved. You know, women, a small thing can push them into depression, especially issue of maybe a polygamous lifestyle in their homes and what have you, to be giving them maybe worries and sleepless nights and what have you. They do not sleep because of their emotions. The peddlers are watching, and these are the kind of opportunities that they want. They will come and tell you, you will not be able to sleep. I have something that if I give you will make you sleep. That these are the areas where this WADA is still trying to reach out to the populace. Want to tell them that still all hope is not lost. Even if you have a drug-dependent person in your home, there are places where he can seek for help. Then the other one again is trying to educate people. Those that do not touch it, let them know the danger so that they won't even go near it. Then the third one again is the other people from the other divide, those that are insisting on bringing this to the community. Let the community know how to report them so that the law enforcement aspect of our work will work there and ensure that these kind of people are apprehended, investigated, and taken before the court so that they can be prosecuted and convicted. And then maybe we'll reduce that in our societies.
That was Abubakar Idris Ahmad, the State Commandant of the NDLEA in Kano, speaking to developments regarding the fight against drug abuse and trafficking in Kano. Now, Nigerian communities have been warned to remain vigilant while buying prescription drugs and over-the-counter medications. The call also urges Nigerians to be cautious when patronizing fruit sellers, as some have been known to use calcium carbide to ripen fruits, which portends a health hazard to people's health. The Director General of the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, Mojishola Ade, gave the warning at a one-day media sensitization program against the practice in northeast Nigeria held in Bauchi. Trust TV's Adamu Imam completes the story.
Represented by Leonard Omog Pariola, Director Chemical Evaluation and Research of the agency, the NAFDAC DG said the dangerous practice by is killing innocent members of the society. This, she said, justifies the need to collaborate with the media to create awareness for members of the public to be cautious and abstain from patronizing them.
NAFDAC is advocating that we all must work together to make sure that we move this country forward, because killing one another will not solve our problem. Trying to get money by selling fake products or by hockey drugs or by ripening fruit with a calcium carbide or falsifying date markings in product, that is never going to help anybody.
Other notable speakers assure that with constant direct engagement with many Nigerians, these nefarious activities will be minimized. The state coordinator of the agency urged Nigerians to speak out whenever they come across such dangerous people as part of their contribution against the practice.
When the ABC people carrying out such nefarious activities, they should come to our office and report to our office here, the Federal Secretariat. You know, some of them will do it the night, will not be there, ripening them. You have neighbors. So you know the activities they are carrying out, and it's illegal activities, various activities concerning our mandate, and particularly these aspects of cooking and ripening of fruits. You cannot reach everywhere.
The sensitization attracted stakeholders as well as the media from the northeast region as part of effort to stem the menace. Adami Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
On the international scene, at least 17 Nigerian soldiers have been killed in an attack by suspected armed groups near its border with Mali, according to a statement published on Tuesday. A detachment of the Nigerian Armed Forces moving between Boni and Torodi was the victim of a terrorist ambush near the town of Kotogu. It added that another 20 soldiers were injured, with all of them evacuated to Niamey, the state capital. More than 100 assailants were, quote, neutralized during the retreat, according to the statement by the Nigerian army. In the last decade, the border area where central Mali, northern Burkina Faso and western Niger converge has become the epicenter of violence by armed groups linked to Al-Qaeda and ISIS in the Sahel region. Anger at the bloodshed has fueled military takeovers in all three countries since 2020, with Niger the latest to fall to a coup on July 26 when President Mohamed Bazoum was ousted. Southeast Niger is also the target of armed groups crossing northeastern Nigeria, the cradle of a campaign initiated by Boko Haram since 2010. Now, a week after wildfires ravaged Hawaii's resort town of Lahaina, search and rescue efforts on Maui Island continues, with officials saying that the death toll could has risen to 106. State Governor Josh Green warned on Tuesday that the death toll from last week's inferno on the island of Maui, already the deadliest U.S. wildfire in more than a century, would grow significantly, urging Hawaiians to gird for a number that could be 2 or 3 times its present level. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services deployed a team of coroners, pathologists and technicians along with exam tables, x-ray units and other equipments to identify victims and process remains. Officials say they had collected DNA samples from 41 people whose relatives remain missing. The island's police chief has said many of the bodies are so badly charred that they are unrecognizable. Such was the ferocity of the blaze. Staying in the United States, but pivoting to sports now, Lionel Messi shrugged off an injury scare to score his 9th goal in 6 games as Inter Miami beat Philadelphia Union to reach the Leagues Cup final. The Argentine World Cup winner scored Miami's 2nd goal in a 4-1 victory a day after rolling his ankle in training. Joseph Martinez, Jordi Alba and David Ruiz scored for Miami, with Alejandro Bedoya on target for the host team. Miami will now play Nashville SC in Saturday's final. The result also means Miami qualify for the CONCACAF Champions Cup regional tournament next season, which may open a route into FIFA's expanded Club World Cup in 2025. Miami's 6 consecutive wins since Messi's introduction to the team in July gives the 36-year-old the opportunity to prepare for the 42nd final of his career in the World Cup-style knockout tournament containing teams from Mexico, Major League Soccer in the United States. Nashville will host the match after booking their place in the Showpiece affair with a 2-1 victory over Monterrey. Now, Manchester City have accepted an undisclosed offer from Al Nassr in Saudi Arabia for Spanish defender Aymeric Laporte. The 29-year-old made 43 starts during the 2021-2022 season, but coach Pep Guardiola used Manuel Akanji and Nathan Ake more often during City's treble-winning season. City then spent £77 million to bring in another left-sided defender this summer in Croatia's Josko Gravidol. Laporte could join the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo, Sadio Mane, Marcelo Brozovic and Alex Telles at Al Nassr. City signed Laporte, who switched his international allegiance from France to Spain in 2021 from Athletic Bilbao in January 2018 for the price of £57 million, then a club record fee. Guardiola had taken charge of City 18 months earlier, and Laporte's ability to play the ball out from the defense helped the team win the Premier League title 5 times in the last 6 seasons. He made 51 appearances in 2018-2019 season and 44 in 2021-2022 season before the arrivals of Nathan Ake and Manuel Akanji lessened both his influence and playing times at Manchester City. Well, that's it. You're up to date with the latest news stories at this hour. Thank you most kindly for joining us. Feel free, as always, to join our growing social media platforms for more content and for more news. Visit trusttv.com. My name is Abdullah Ahmed. Thank you for your time and company.